All right, good evening and welcome as the Snowline Board of Trustees returns from closed session. As there's no action to report out, that will take us tonight to our School on Spotlight. Tonight we return to Snowline Academy. As I'm sure you're all aware, Snowline Virtual School is our at-home or homeschooling opportunity. With an enrollment of over 500 students ranging from transitional kindergarten all the way up to our high school seniors, Snowline Virtual School provides a solid academic foundation with multiple pathways to graduation, develops lifelong learners, and encourages students to become responsible citizens. Snowline Virtual School provides a rigorous online program with the K through 5 learners utilizing curriculum established by the district based on the K through 12 online learning program. Our secondary students, that's grades 6 through 12, use the Edgenuity online learning program, which students can access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, making it incredibly available for their schedules. In addition to the excellent educational opportunities provided by Snowline Virtual School, grades 9 through 12 can participate in all of Serrano High School's extracurricular activities like sports, drama, dance, cheerleading, and the like. Snowline Virtual School is also NCAA approved. It's absolutely the best of both worlds. So thank you to Snowline Academy for being our School on Spotlight this evening. If you all please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, as I pull up my agenda, please bear with me just a moment. All right, that will take us to our community comments. If we can have those that have submitted cards, please approach the podium and present.
Are you Karen? Yeah. Yeah. So I understand that one of the teachers has recently requested a vacation. Actually, I know he requested it a while back. His whole wall is calendars in his room, and I know he's had it on there for a while. And he was recently denied the vacation because he was told he had to take it during the summer. The problem is he does a lot of stuff for Cadet Corps during the summer. So this was the time that him and his wife wanted to do their vacation. And I don't think that it's fair that he was denied for 9 days on a vacation that he works hard at the school.
Okay,
Thank you for that comment.
Ryan Reese.
Hi, I'm Ryan Reese. I'm Toronto High School Battalion Commander for California State Corps. Major Bravo is my commandant and my teacher and mentor. Over the summer, we've spent several hours, several days, several weekends planning for next year's new cadets coming in, going to summer camp for 3 weeks, doing things like survival and teaching cadets all over the state. Done things like planning for bivouacs that we were doing over the summer for 3 days for new cadets coming in. And there's a lot of times that he doesn't have time to do vacations over the summer.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Aaron. I like the way you wrote that, Aaron.
I used to be a part of the Cadet Corps, and I was very big into it. And to hear that he's getting denied leave and he's getting told to take it in the summer is like really hard for me because I know how much that man works. I know how much he works in the summer. All the camps, like the kids want to go to. I know from the fact that because I like to go to those camps all the time. And it's kind of messed up to state that he has to take them in the summer when he's working during the summer for those kids. And all this stuff that he does for kids in MPP and Cadet Corps. For me, that's very heartbreaking that he's not allowed to do what he wants and how he wants to spend time with his wife. for me, that's just like upsetting. And that's my.
Thank you for your comments. Ryan, if I could please ask you if you would address those comments in the quite near future for closure on that topic.
Absolutely, we sure will. We
I certainly appreciate that.
we'll do that.
All right, very good. That will take us to item G in the agenda for the adoption of the items presented tonight. Do I have a motion or a request to pull any items from the agenda? Can I get a
I'll make a
motion
motion to approve.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Okay.
Thank you. And we will do a roll call vote. We will
Excuse
start.
me, President Hernandez, I'm sorry, I could not hear who made the motion. I apologize.
Motion was by Daniel Flores with a second by Mr. Kalum.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We will do a roll call vote, and we'll start with our preferential vote of our student board member.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. And we will go to our virtual board members tonight. Mr. Kalum?
Aye.
Thank you. Clerk Flores?
Aye.
Member Bristol?
Aye.
Member Berenger?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion is passed. That takes us to the consent agenda. Unless there are any items to be pulled at this time, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as it's been presented?
Move approval.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. And a roll call vote. Once again, our preferential vote for a student board member.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Member Kalum?
Aye.
Clerk Flores?
Aye.
Member Bristol?
Aye.
Member Berenger?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. We have just approved the minutes of the January 11th, 2022 regular meeting of the Snowline Joint Unified School District Board of Trustees. Approved payment of classified management vacation time and hours accrued. Approved personnel motions. Approved student expulsion and or stipulated expulsion and or stipulated suspended expulsions. And approved the district financial transactions. Taking us to item I1. I'll turn that over to Dr. Ullman.
Thanks so very much, President Hernandez. As we have done throughout the pandemic, it's time for an update specific to learning efforts here throughout the Snowline Joint Unified School District. As I said, during the pandemic, and specifically before I move forward here, I want to bring attention to the current variant that's impacting our district, high desert districts, statewide, nationwide, across the world. And I would argue unprecedented numbers. I think it's fairly clear and pretty widely accepted that way. The transmissibility of the Omicron variant has impacted us, our staffing, in ways that I'll get to throughout the night. It's going to be really the theme is staffing, and ultimately how proud I am in the end here of how our staff has responded in the most challenging of times, in my view, throughout this pandemic, as we try to and succeed at delivering instruction to all of our kids. And so with that backdrop, and with an advance appreciation toward Robert Chacon for navigating this presentation for me. You're going to see familiar slides right here at the beginning. We continue to shoot for these outcomes, shared understanding and shared commitment. And when we go to the next slide on the agenda, for the most part, you've seen all those agenda items. They've been maybe shuffled a bit, and you'll see mask requirement up there that hasn't been up there for a little bit of time that I've added to the agenda from last one and the previous probably few agendas. As we continue on, Robert, thank you for going to the next slide and reminding ourselves about the guidance in which we're following for those 5 entities primarily. And we go to the next slide, and that mantra, as quickly and safely as possible, we're implementing the guidelines, and we're going to do so together. And so as we go to the next slide, Robert, as we continue here, we're fortunate to have the Snowline County. We talked about that tonight. And President Hernandez, you spoke to it very well. Very fortunate to have had it for many years here, to give that homeschool independent study-like option well before the pandemic, and continuing their services in that regard, as well as in person at all of our sites. And then that next slide is a familiar one too. We continue to monitor these three metrics, and we've been doing so since the inception of the pandemic. You'll see it up here again with references back to the colored tiered system, just for I guess consistency's sake, as well as the capacity for us to maintain a point of reference through that color coded tiered system, as I mentioned. So moving forward, let's take a look at our 5 communities that are monitored, that are within our boundaries, that are the ones that are monitored by San Bernardino County public health officials. First and foremost, Oak Hills, you can see the daily new cases in that purple, and all of them will be in purple, 12, the positivity rate of 13.6. And then we go to the next slide, which would be Phelan, and you can see that daily new case rate just really higher than it's ever been in that region. We go to the next slide, you're going to see a familiar number 2, just 90, almost 100 there, 97.7 in Pinion Hills. And as we proceed here, we'll go to Victorville, a really large number you're going to see in Victorville, over 200. That's all of Victorville, but that's the only way that we're able to pull in a large portion of Victorville that sits within our boundaries, but still super significant. You see, again, very high positivity rates, just reinforcing the transmissibility of this variant, I should say. And lastly, Wrightwood, in the highest numbers that I can, remember, up in Wrightwood, but once again, very high positivity rates. And so let's drill down and see another slide that we look at all the time. You'll see January 8th is the most recent update. Typically by now I'd have the 15th. I think the reasoning that I hear from the county, like everywhere, every agency, organization, and entity is short on staff. And I think it shows in terms of how the data have been made available. So we're just about a week behind. These are the most recent data. And you can see the climb from the very top at 15, almost 16 daily cases, all the way down to 133 daily cases throughout our entire San Bernardino County. You see those positivity rates higher than even what we were experiencing in our own communities. And we go to the next slide, Robert. Let's drill down into Snowline's numbers. And you can see ourselves right now at 50, a little over 50, the period prior at 80. What I can share with you, I wholly expect that January 8th number will be recalculated. It always is throughout this entire pandemic, and it would go up slightly given the amount of transmissibility and really staffing challenges with public health and everywhere else. That number, I bet, will go up significantly as it gets corrected, because the January 1st number went up significantly because of the lag in the capacity to be able to keep up with their data. So look for that number to be quite honest, to maybe outstrip that 79 daily cases per 100,000. I see. I think is that member Colomb with a question there. May I answer one for you? Hearing none, I'll consider that a high five. So thank you, member Colomb, there for the high five, the signal there, I guess. Please stop me if you need to, though, if you need to ask a question. So as Robert, as we continue on there from slide 14, we'll go to 15. Let's look at some more data, drill down specifically on our dashboard. There you go. Thanks, Robert. That dashboard that we see on our website. Now, what I can tell you, those are some large numbers. It sums to 116 active cases between our staff members and our students right now. And again, what does active mean? That means 116 students and staff members in our COVID-19 isolation protocol, right? Isolation protocol for those who are testing positive. Now, that's a large number. What I can tell you is between our last meeting 2 weeks ago and now, this number is significantly down from as recently as the end of last week. Thursday and Friday, we were in well over the 200s of active cases. You see the trending down, which is very exciting news, certainly a bit relative, but all is to say, just like I can tell you, having contact with our fellow superintendents in this area, experiencing the same situation in terms of large numbers, Great to see the number trending down, despite the fact that it is a very significantly high number here in Snowline right now in current cases. Robert, thanks for hanging out on that slide. If we go to the next one, let's look at our numbers in aggregate since the beginning of this school year, which is measured as July 1st because staff members who work full-time begin in July 1st. Of course, we start school in the middle of August. Take you through the data here. You can see overall students, we've had 721 students test positive with, again, as it says, confirmed cases of COVID-19. Now that number went up by 445 since the last time we were together as a board. That's a significant jump, as you might imagine. You can see now at this stage, almost, or a little bit over, I say not almost, just a touch over 9% of our students, impacted by COVID-19 to date. From a staff member standpoint, 339 out of 953. That's more than 1/3 of our staff members impacted. Now that's a little misleading because just much in the same with students, because students and staff could have contracted COVID-19 twice. So that's just a raw number that I'm gauging, or I should say monitoring. But still, I think it shows you, and again, in the parentheses, 157 more staff members since those last 2 weeks. So as we talk about how busy the staff have been, how challenging it's been with less number of staff members, you see the data up here impacting ourselves. President Hernandez?
Yeah, thank you. Oftentimes you let us know that the San Bernardino numbers that you report are usually 2 weeks in arrears. This information, is it current or is it also in arrears?
Yeah, great question. So this number is current, and you can see down at the bottom, and my apologies for not changing that one. I don't know why I put no, I did change it actually. You can see up through January 25th today. Technically, as of, I think I input the data as recently as 4 o'clock. So it's up to date as of today.
Yeah, I saw that January 10, and I thought that's what we were going off of there. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing attention to that, for sure. And thanks, for differentiating between what we get in arrears with the county, which is still valuable data to see trends, and then the current data here. So thank you for that question. And Robert, thank you for hanging out on slide 16. We'll go to 17. How about those vaccination rates? You can see in the gray, just any vaccination. We continue to trend up. If you're wondering, from about a 2-week period, it's about 1%. It's between 1% to 1.5% over 2 weeks time, or about, 0.5 to 0.75% each week. So you can see ourselves trending up. No major significant gains yet. We'll talk about that in a moment in terms of how we might be able to do that for those who want to. Countywide, we're still lagging a bit behind the county, and certainly California, our numbers do lag that way as well. So thank you, Robert, on 17. As we go to 18, let's drill down into some information that I hope is very helpful and that has been the most relevant and recent since the last board meeting, and specifically test kits. I'm going to start with sincere appreciation and gratefulness to all staff members in our district over the last 2 weeks. When we were together last time, we had just in effect received the test kits, and we're getting ready to roll those out. Well, they have been rolled out in a very quick fashion by our schools. They turned around the deliveries by Karen Stevens and all of her team, who grabbed those test kits. Again, those test kits, a box with 2 tests, rapid tests, those antigen tests for students, every single student, transitional kindergarten through 12th grade. If you have that question about preschool, please know that the state is still working on that, and the plan is to deliver those same test kits for preschool students. We'll let you know when those are delivered to us. We haven't received those, but for transitional kindergarten through 12th grade, we've had multiple giveaway events at all of the sites, and I thank all the individuals involved for making that happen. So with that in mind, please know that we have not given out all of the test kits because we are asking for the families to come, and at this stage, contact the schools, but really at any point can come and visit the school and get those test kits, because certainly it's optional. I want everyone to know it is not mandatory to pick them up, but it's, to me, a very, very powerful safety measure, an extra level of safety that can be used in, as you see at the bottom, I think the most important ways and how they should be used, and that is to determine if, first and foremost, a child has been infected with COVID-19. And then secondarily, when we think about coming off of isolation and quarantine, we think about the changes in the guidelines. We spoke at the last meeting that quarantine isolation does last 10 days, but after 5 days, if a negative test can come through, there can be a return to the in-person setting. That's a great way, again, to make use of these rapid tests. And so with all that said, another plea to everyone to please come and get them. We've got them right now, and we'll continue to do this for the next coming week, particularly through this surge, to make certain that we can take advantage of a great tool for safety. So thank you, Robert, there on 18. As we go to 19, in the spirit of vaccinations and testing, I want everyone to know big thanks to all the individuals who oversee this and all our staff members who continue to engage in the mandatory testing as articulated by Governor Newsom months ago that took effect in October. We're in our 12th week, if I'm counting that correctly. I appreciate the ongoing and continuing growth that we continue to make in that area. I can say personally myself, I will say I'm vaccinated. I wouldn't be required, as it says in there, or I'm not required to do so, but I do test weekly. I think and she wouldn't mind me saying, as I see her nod her head, Nancy Stapp does too. And I bring that up because the turnaround times for the COVID clinic have been outstanding. That PCR test, which is, again, goes off to it's not the rapid antigen test that we just gave away, right? A PCR test goes to a lab and goes through a process. We're getting those back. In fact, today we got ours back less than 24 hours. So I really urge everyone in need of those, and particularly those in this required process, that COVID clinic is turning those around. Many thanks to Robert Chacon, who oversees our color efforts. That's just the name brand, a vendor that we're using to catch up everyone who can't make those days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That turnaround time is improving with color. Robert, you want to speak to that at all? Anything you want to add that I might have missed with color? It's not nearly as quick as the other one, but it is improving.
No, definitely not, but it is improving this week. We received results today from samples that were sent out Thursday, right? So we're looking at about a 4-day turnaround, which is a drastic improvement over the last couple of weeks, because it's been close to 6 or 7 day turnaround for results these last few weeks. They've been inundated with testing, as you can imagine. So hopeful that, we're kind of on the downhill side of this, and we'll start to, get our 2-3 day turnaround results here in the next couple of weeks. That's definitely helpful for us and definitely helpful for all of you who are looking for those results sooner than later.
Yeah, thank you. Well said, Robert, and thanks again for your efforts in that regard. As we go on to slide 20 here, Robert, we stay in the theme of what was at the top there on that title, or part of the title, and that's vaccinations that require. I want to revisit this. Don't want to belabor it, but I'll tell you why at the bottom there, and that is because of some plans to propose or introduce legislation around vaccination. So just to go backward, to go forward to that last piece there, going backward, keep in mind that vaccination requirement that Governor Newsom shared back toward the end of 2021 for our students specifically. What was proposed was pending full FDA approval at ages 12 through 15, because right now Pfizer's already, there's already full approval at the age of 16. So thinking this through from 12 and up for middle school and high school age kids. And then the other break point is 5 to 11 for elementary school. When that full FDA approval occurs, then the following semester is when that full FDA approval occurs, the following semester. So right now we're in the second of 2 semesters for this school year. So if full FDA approval comes sometime this semester, then that order from the governor is saying that we would then initiate required vaccinations for students up and down the state. This isn't just Snowline. I want to clarify that. Up and down the state for all students in middle school and high school with that full approval from the FDA for that age span in the next school year, the fall of next school year. And you can see then the next group would be for FDA approval to occur at 5 to 11. Then that following semester is the way the plan was said by Governor Newsom. There would be requirements at the elementary school level. Now, I want to take a moment to really delineate between a regulation / order. Those names are used synonymously in this context, and that's really important. So an executive order from the governor or through regulation by the governor is what is intended right now. And I will tell you still, there is no order in place yet because FDA approval hasn't occurred. But going back to the differentiation between what's regulated or ordered by the governor versus legislation, when a regulation or order is put in place by the governor, the personal exemption clause has to be in place. If through legislation, that process where the state assembly and the state senate goes through the whole process of a new law, adding, in this case, adding COVID-19 as the 11th of all the required vaccinations, the personal exemption would go away. And that's all by statute. Now, why am I talking about all this right now? Because just yesterday, one of the senators, I think it's State Senator Pan from up in San Francisco, he announced that he's planning to introduce legislation on adding COVID-19, right? Adding COVID-19, or is it Sacramento? Did I say San Francisco? You're from Sacramento?
Yeah, Sacramento.
Sacramento. My apologies to San Francisco and Sacramento. Love you both. So Senator Pan from Sacramento is planning to introduce legislation. Now we're quite a ways away from any legislation being enacted. We'll keep everyone updated, but because that came out yesterday, I wanted to make sure all of you as board members understood this situation, and we'll keep all of you apprised as to whether or not that legislation is going to even move through, and what happens on the regulation order side. So that's really the intent of this slide, is to give you that update specific to potential legislation activity. So Robert, thanks for hanging out on 20 for quite a bit of time. We'll go over to 21 on our slides. And when we think about, Robert, is that, sorry for my hesitation there. Is that 22? Yeah, thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's 21. Just real quickly, there's a vaccination clinic opportunity that's going to be happening at Peña Mesa Middle School. You can see all the relevant time and information. Two opportunities, both on Saturdays, February 12th and then March 5th. Those who want to get vaccinated, COVID-19, the booster will be available as well. You see all the relevant data. Many thanks to San Diego County for partnering with us, for being willing to come out. Absolutely optional, but for those who don't want to travel anywhere, but just get within our own boundaries, it's going to be available. Robert Chacon, thanks for organizing that. He always does a great job in that regard. And please keep that in mind. We'll continue to get that information out so that everyone knows about it. Now, when we go from 21 to 22, guideline considerations, I want to just share real quickly a change in guidelines. It's a group tracing approach. When we think about close contacts, we've been so in tune with what has been close contact guidelines from day one of the pandemic. And that is that I'm a close contact if I'm by someone who is a positive COVID-19 infection. I'm a close contact if I've been by that person for 15 minutes, and by that person means within 6 feet. This group tracing approach that was just put into effect by CDPH as one of the options, the one that I just mentioned, is still in place. We're still following that. But this new one, group tracing, talks about notifying groups. And that would be groups of students who are within a classroom, for instance, of someone who's identified with having COVID-19, if they've been in that classroom for 15 minutes or more, and that's going to be in most cases, right? If there's a student who's identified with COVID-19, that all those students are considered exposed in terms of notification, right? So that exposure notification goes out to all individuals, all students, and those students can stay in school as long as, they're asymptomatic, of course, and that they complete a test within 3 to 5 days. Now, one of the other benefits in that regard in staying in school is not only the educational process, but they also can participate in athletics and other extracurricular activities. Now, there's a lot to change here for us to move toward this. I can say that I think there are a lot of benefits for our entire learning community and ultimately for our students to move toward this. It requires a lot of staffing. It requires change that I think we can make, but during the surge, just too much too soon right now. We hope to be able to make this shift as we get through the surge and we get beyond our staffing challenges, because the staffing challenges really being precipitated by COVID-19. When we talk about how that testing can occur, pool testing is a real effective way, as we see it, for us to move forward. We're going to look toward piloting pool testing with our current basketball players, because they're required to be testing per the CDPH guidelines, just that group is, because of their indoor athletic endeavors. We're going to look to pilot that and hopefully learn from that as we move toward this group tracing that ultimately I think is better for kids, because it's really allowing them to stay in school more, all the while still looking towards safety in a pool testing manner. Hey, Robert, anything that you'd want to share? Because I know you and I have been talking a lot about this with all of our other colleagues here, but I want to make sure I didn't miss anything on this, because you've been doing some good work in this area.
Yeah, I think the only piece, and maybe I heard it right, so we got a few things going on in the background a little bit, but the fact that we're going to have to test, right? We're going to have to test these students who are potentially exposed. Did you talk about that, Ryan? Sorry.
Yeah, I sure did. Yeah, no problem. I apologize. I know, Robert's got a few bowling balls up in the air there that he's juggling. So thanks for, doing that for me. I just want to make sure if there's anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, no, looking to order supplies for pool testing. Actually sent an email out to CDPH today, looking to see if we can get pool testing going. Also reach out to COVID Clinic, possibly using them as an option to help support us with pool testing as well. So currently we're doing PCR tests for our basketball players. Was out doing middle schools earlier this week to ensure they're compliant. And we'll just be shifting those PCR tests to a pooled type test is what the hope is. And we'll see kind of what those outcomes look like.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. Looks like Clerk Flores has a question.
Yeah, just a quick question. With testing, it seems like this new system requires a lot more testing. If it seems to be there's a shortage of tests, like even if you just go to the supermarket to try to buy them or the drugstore, and I'm sure we have different vendors we can try to get them from. But if we run into an issue of not being able to get quite enough tests, did I understand right? We can still use what we've been doing, or will that go away?
Yeah, thanks. I'll start first, and you'll hear from Robert too. So yes, we can continue to keep the contact tracing procedure that we have in place, and that's what we're doing right now for all the reasons that we just mentioned. So you're right on with that first part, and then second part. And I didn't do a good job, Robert, but pool testing. He'll speak to this in just a moment. But that pool testing theoretically could be more, and ultimately maybe less when we really drill down. So that pool testing occurring real rapidly, quickly in a classroom, and we'll have to work through all those procedures, right, with parental approval and so forth. But then it requires follow-up testing, as you've heard from Robert before, and I'll give some more details here, based upon one or more cases in that pool being tested. So yes, maybe more, but still provides that capacity for ourselves to keep those kids in person, all the while, hopefully, as our infection rates drop down, hopefully there will be less in that regard there, Clerk Flores. But Robert, what else might you add to that?
No, that was a great summation, Ryan. It's really just the availability of test kits, right? So right now, we have, and the state has been providing plenty of PCR tests to help support our color program. We're running right around 400 or 500 of those tests a week right now is what we're sending out. And so as those tests go out, the state automatically kind of replenishes my inventory for us. So it's been a pretty good system so far on the PCR side with the state. So I'm hopeful that pool testing will be, maybe a similar setup at least, and that there'll be availability through color. And if not, like I said, we're reaching out to Code Clinic. They do provide student testing. That service is available. We're just trying to get some clarity on pool testing and kind of what that looks like. As you can imagine, a lot of logistics are going to go into this, right? Because kids are, going to be in school and in classes, and we're going to try to have to facilitate, these types of, pool testing to these kids while they're, on campus and during instructional time and all that. So we're working through those logistics. That's why, we need some time to work through this process. And I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to make it happen. And ultimately, like Ryan said, it's going to provide more opportunities for our kids to stay in class and in school and continue with their extracurriculars as well.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. And hopefully that helps with that question that you asked, Clerk Flores. Did we cover that? Okay, yeah, thank you there very much. And then as we go to the next slide, which would be, I think, 23, Robert, thanks for bearing with me. We're the second to last one. Here's that mask requirement reminder. That public health order, as I think I spoke to last time, was extended from January 15th to February 15th. Probably not lost on anyone as to why, right? The Omicron variant and its transmissibility has been through the roof. We see it in our numbers. Now, this is a requirement, just as a reminder to all of us that public health orders do have the force of law. I know people will ask me, well, Ryan, you don't, why are you doing this? You don't have to. It does have the force of law. We vetted that through our lawyers, and certainly we can talk about beliefs and so forth, but just flat out when we talk about the law and what we do is follow that here. I want to remind everyone that this public health order does have that force. And so with that, what is required? Well, that is indoor settings. And then you can see everyone right here, right now, wearing masks. It's optional outside. Now, most recently, and that is this week, we're able to get a delivery of N95 masks from the state of California. I want you to know that the state is supplying N95 masks. I think there's maybe, I look around here, my eyes aren't that great, but it's a medical grade mask that's available to all of our staff members and students. We actually received 27,000. I know that sounds like a lot when we talk about usage. That certainly will go through that much more rapidly than before the end of the school year. All that is to know that great work by Karen Stevens and her team to acquire all of those free ones from the state. We're starting to make them available at all the sites. And I want to make it real clear that N95 mask is an option amongst all approved masks that can be worn. It doesn't have to be worn, but it's an option, maybe an extra safety measure, again, for those who would like that medical grade, high level mask available to them. We'll be getting those out to staff as rapidly as possible. I know it sounds like there are also plans, of course, to make those available to students. We'll work through all those, just receive those and just working on that. But that's exciting news, again, from a safety requirement measure that I, again, just want to drive down. I just appreciate everyone adhering to this requirement. It certainly is, I think, a measure that's necessary to slow this transmissibility. And so with that, Robert, gets us to 24. And I said there's one left, but there are two. And this frequently asked question remains the same from last time purposely. I will tell you there's an additional line at the very bottom that I want to read. And read the first line, I guess, too, the first sentence. Are there plans to close in-person learning? No. And for all the reasons in there that it's still correct. But that last sentence I want to drive home, and that is safety is our primary driver in determining whether or not we can stay open. I can share with you all the people in here and so many others up early in the morning. Our mornings start early for all great reasons. I'm very thankful for them, but it's really driven around or focused around safety. And we make those determinations each and every day based upon availability of all of our staff members. And so with many thanks to everyone who you see on this on this meeting, as well as many others, we're working very hard each and every day to determine the safety levels. And as long as it's safe, our commitment is keeping in-person learning going, because despite the challenges that our staff members have been so outstanding in terms of navigating with not enough substitutes and period substitutes and covering for one another at all levels of positions throughout the district, that the beauty of that great work from our staff members is it's in service of what I believe is so necessary, and that's our students being connected to the learning process, in-person learning each and every day in ways that we didn't have happen at other stretches of this pandemic. And so I'm just so very grateful. But I wanted to drive home when people said, well, how are you determining this, Ryan? Safety is that primary driver for ourselves in staying open. So with that, Robert gets to the end, and that's questions. Or no, excuse me, it's just one more time. And, I'm sorry, there's one more slide before that on 25. And that is the rapid test kits. We're distributing those. It's still the same here. Following those safety measures, you heard me drive home that masking piece. That is so very important. I'll continue to provide reminders on that throughout the community. And we're going to communicate and support one another with those 3 hashtags. So President Hernandez, I know it's a little bit slower there. My apologies, but just wanted to really drive home the details that are hopefully helpful to all of you. And I'll answer any questions as is necessary, of course.
Thank you very much. Great presentation, as always. I have a number of questions, but I'll go ahead and open up to the rest of the board. Any questions right now? And unfortunately, I do not see I'll switch over to the board view. I guess I will open up with a few of my questions. Any chance we can switch over to the slide that indicated the number of students impacted this year so far?
Yeah, is that total students? Yeah.
That total students, 721 with the 445 most recently. Knowing Omicron, knowing this transmission, I suspect that number will continue either stable for the next week or two or increase. Do we have any statistics on independent studies on those students that have gone into an isolation or a quarantine condition? Do we know if if we are getting them on independent studies?
Yeah. So the intent is to get every single student on independent study in all ways, shapes, and forms there, President Hernandez, to ensure that the learning process continues, right? And so with that, in terms of the data, and I know I'll I guess project into your question how many independent study packets are picked up that are made available. I don't have that number. I'll certainly open up the microphone to my colleagues in just a moment. One other piece I wanted to finish, that increase that you alluded to, President Hernandez, I want to be real clear, make sure I did not provide any confusion. Those parenthetical numbers in there, if you will, those numbers in the parentheses, those are over the last 15 days. Now, what I can share with you is, while you're talking about increasing, what we are seeing is right now is a leveling off, if not a slight decrease, even with our students. We're seeing that with staff. We're starting to see that with students. So just wanted to drive that piece home. But that's, again, not a long trend of moving downward. We hope that continues, though, for certain. And so, but before, if I may there, Member Bristol, I want to make sure, Alan Miller, I'll look over to you and Sean Primo. If not, Robert Chacon. Anything you'd add on independent studies, Sean?
Yeah, thank you for asking, President Hernandez. As a matter of fact, our increase of need has gone up. I've been working with Kirk Strickland, who's overseeing Patty Garner and her team. We've actually increased staff as a result of the response to the number of students going on in independent study. I believe we've added partially or full 3 additional positions to help with clerical and communication with our community. And they're continuing to work countless hours, not just because, John, her husband, happens to be here, but Patty's family has also been assisting with the amount of prep that needs to go in to respond to that. So I would say affirmatively, we are getting more response and we're getting it out, but I would agree with Dr. Holman. I could not quantify that with numbers. It's more of a perception and the need for increased staffing.
Okay, yeah, just I just wasn't sure, if a student goes out, family calls or reports the positive case. If they don't reach out to Independent Studies, do we reach out to them to remind them that this is available to recover those days, to recover the work that's missed?
Yeah, that's the intention, is to communicate that all the time. And also the intention, I want to make it clear, we don't force our families to work extra. So we do appreciate John Garner and the families for working extra. But I'd also add there too, I mean, it's really assigned to not just that family, but so many, and credit to, Sean Primo and the HR team. So we're trying to expand our staffing when what we hear in the news is what we experience in Snowline and throughout every school district, right? Is finding staffing anywhere and everywhere is very, very difficult. So again, another reason to thank the families like John Garner, Kate Garner, supporting their mother, but so many others who are all pitching in that regard. But Sean, maybe something else that you can add to that.
It does have it helped to have real-time data in the boardroom. Mr. Garner indicated that again, you have to think of days assigned in this capacity, right? Not students. There were 1,500 days assigned to Snowline students just last week. So again, if you think of that as 5, days per student, maybe less, again, you can do your math in regards to, last week, but 1,500 days of work assigned to Snowline students just last week.
But do we reach out if we don't hear from them that the Independent Study is available?
Yeah. I mean, again, we're reaching out initially. We inform them initially. I can't speak for how many reaching, follow-ups and so forth. I don't know if you can, Alan or Sean, but absolutely, it's communicated at the beginning. And not to avoid the question, but just to really amplify the appreciation that the crush has just been amazing. I mean, the numbers you see up there, right? Plus 445, plus 157 staff. I mean, over 15 days, more than 600 positive tests. And we know when positive tests come, right, that's an isolation situation. And so, I mean, I'm just grateful for what we've been able to do. And I appreciate your questions there, President Hernandez, because I think they're really grounded in the idea. We want to ensure that the kids continue to learn. And boy, I know everyone's making just the concerted effort to ensure that happens. So.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, 5 to 10 days of lost instruction can really put a kid behind, and just really concerned that we are doing our part, our effort to connect with the families, let them know that it's available, that the kid doesn't have to suffer academically, that we have those supports in place. So thank you very much. Appreciate your response there.
Oh, for sure, President Hernandez. I appreciate the reference to grace too, across the system, as we navigate these difficult times. And I remember, Bristol, you've been very patient. Thanks.
Yeah, I just had a question. Probably one of the most controversial things we faced recently was the vaccination mandate. You mentioned it and you kind of described it. I just want to make sure we're out in front of this administratively under the governor order granted that the vaccinations are approved for school-age children, that we have the documentation ready for the personal exemption, and we have a flow path for that group of people that are going to want to do that personal exemption, and then and basically that's it. I just want to make sure that we're pre-planning, so we're proactive instead of reactive when this takes place, and then we'll take it one step at a time and see see if it becomes the legislative order.
Yeah, member Bristol, I appreciate you bringing that up. And I will tell you, we did that homework about the personal exemption quite a while ago. As you're well aware, you know it well. And Robert, I know that's on, if you don't mind going to slide 20, which is, I think, just that next one. Yeah, it's just that reinforcement of whether or not you nailed it, whether or not it's going to be legislated, or if it's an order, or if somehow it changes. What we are at least reading right now, if when we go down that legislation, it really is a prediction, and there isn't any clear indication. But what we probably do know is there'll probably be challenges in court if it does go into law. So your idea, your assertion to be at the ready for the order, I think is very appropriate, and I think we absolutely will be. So thanks for that reminder, for certain. And President Hernandez, looks like another question.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yeah, kind of following up to what you had introduced about that senator from Sacramento, and following up on Nathan now, or member Bristol, sorry. As I understand it, the way that that has been introduced is that the vaccination will not wait until it is fully approved, that it will be pushed through as an emergency use requirement. That, of course, like you said, will be up to challenges and even politicking amongst those that are in favor or against it at the legislative level. But wanted you to know that from what I have understood so far, that it is written to utilize the emergency use authorization. The other one that you referenced, and I was reading on this one briefly, was Senate Bill 866. That one is introduced by a senator from San Francisco, and that one I believe would be challenged significantly. That one right now is to allow children 12 and older to become vaccinated without parental consent or knowledge. So that one, I imagine, will undergo some significant challenges. But that is that reference to San Francisco and the senator out there.
Yeah, President Hernandez, thanks. You now just unearthed my confusion, right, between Sacramento and San Francisco. So thank you, as I read those two. I appreciate that for sure. And you're exactly right, I think, on both fronts. And one more piece I would add, you might remember me, I think it was 2 meetings ago, speaking about SANDABs. I have the good fortune of sitting on that governing board. And I say good fortune to the extent that we have access not only to elected officials, but I think information in terms of how the legislative actions are trending. The last communication, which was, let me think about it, this month, earlier this month, in our monthly meetings, was that there was a thought that there wasn't enough support at the legislative level, 2 houses, right? We have the Assembly and the Senate to push through a bill on this. Now that was 2 to 3 weeks ago, and there's a lot of work ahead here. But I just pass along to you the information we hear from our experts who are connected to Sacramento, who report out at those SANDABs governing board meetings. So I'll continue to keep you updated. I think, again, that's one of the benefits of being on that governing board, is I can bring that information to all of you. And again, it's no guarantee, but at least you know what the experts are saying. And please know I'm not including myself as an expert, just the messenger for sure in that regard.
For sure. Thank you. I guess the last question I had on this topic, and I recently attended a webinar regarding some of these topics. Have any of our school sites been close to that threat of closure or needing to or to move students around from one school entirely? I know at one point some of our schools had up to a third of their teachers out due to isolation, and that it was a heavy toll. I know we have our substitutes; we're leaning on them significantly. I've understood a lot of the senior cabinet here have been in classroom teaching. So we really are pulling all ends together to try to make this work. But has it ever come to a point or a close call of any site having an issue with remaining open?
The full transparency is, I guess, absolutely that consideration, and us having those conversations is, hey, can we make today work? Can we make tomorrow work? And when tomorrow comes, can we make tomorrow work? And I will share with you, it's getting better now. So were we close? I think there were, by whomever's close measure is, yes, I think we were certainly close in terms of thinking, can we make transportation continue? I want to give a tremendous shout out to that entire team, especially the leader over there, who is just doing outstanding work, being creative. I think she has driven between 90 and 95% of the school days this year. And you think about that. I mean, she's an outstanding driver, and that's wonderful to have her in that capacity. But to do double duty, that has been one of the real close. As I always say, we've been bending everywhere, and we haven't broken. And I say we, it's really all of them have not broken at all levels. That's it, not just transportation, but the school sites. And I'm proud of everyone. But I'd also say to your, to get a little bit more direct, it's getting better. By no means is it the best conditions, but it is getting better because we're seeing, and Sean Primo does a great job. And here's that morning call when we in the early hours we're all connecting. The open positions, there was a high about 10 days ago of 41 open substitute certificated positions, and open means not filled. So what that means is at the secondary level, all sorts of period subbing. And like you said, us marshaling our resources and getting out. So 41 to, we were single digits, I think, today. Is that right, Sean? I think it was 8. I think we had 8 open positions. So over 10 days, going from 41 to 8, that's only one measure. I talked to you about bus drivers and across all departments and schools. It is trending the best. It is trending in the best of ways. But I have my fingers crossed and I'm knocking on wood and I'm hoping there's a 4-leaf clover hanging around here because we can use good luck as we move forward. Not to mention, the good strategies here too.
Yeah, I've heard from and connected with many of our educators that most of their day free periods or those conference periods are absolutely dedicated to period subbing for those that are out, sharing classrooms, class splits, just all over the place, everybody pulling it in together to make this work. So my deepest appreciation to all of the folks. I say where the chalk hits the blackboard, thank you for doing all that you can. And to that senior staff that you've got, I understand you all are chipping in, doing absolutely everything to make it work out. So thank you very much.
Yeah, President Hernandez, I think you said that very well. And I will say this, I remember things like the Blue Cup fire and all the challenges we've been through and how proud I was of all the people I get to work with. I think unequivocally this time is going to go down as the greatest sense of pride that I will have for all 952 employees. I think we're at 953 on there, so not counting myself, but all 952 employees during this time. I am convinced it will be the most proud that I will ever be in this role. It's just been incredible. So thanks for sharing what you did. Member Bristol, sorry to keep you waiting.
No, that's okay. I'm sorry. I forgot to. This question couples onto my last statement for testing for students. Is there any anticipation? Once again, just to try to get out in front of this because it could be a significant cost of the district. Any anticipation of testing students that do the personal exemption? As we have to do with the employees.
Gosh, forgive me, Member Bristol, just for clarity, you're talking about mandatory testing for students, like maybe you're doing for our athletes indoors, or?
Yeah, I'm just, if we put them in the same category as we're doing with our staff, if they're unvaccinated, they have to weekly test. If they make the mandate, or if they do the order for students to be vaccinated, and then the students request the personal exemption or their parents, will those students be weekly tested?
Yeah, thanks.
Or if there's any anticipation of that, because that we're dealing with some expenses there.
Yeah, Member Bristol. Yeah, thank you for bearing with me there. And I think that's a real logical assumption. We have not heard what that looks on that other side yet. But I think that's a very logical assumption based on what we've experienced. And so your recommendation and urging for preparation, I think, is a very good one. And I think it's appropriate because just like so many entities, we get, we're dealing with information almost in real time, changes in real time, I should say. And so to prepare that way, I think is a very valid one. And it's certainly something that I, maybe in my role, I can run up, in that one group and find out what those predictions are. I'm sorry we don't know for sure, but being ready, that's a very smart move, and I'll do that there. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation once again. That'll take us to item J1 for the school accountability report cards. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Hernandez. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we brought the SARCs to you for your review. And hopefully, if you had any questions, that you reached out to either myself or to the school sites specifically. Wanted to, before we get to the approval process, wanted to just maybe shed a little clarity regarding the state test scores. I was speaking with Member Behringer a little bit earlier, and I think I might be able to help. I'm looking specifically at Serrano High School's school accountability report card, and it could get a little confusing if you don't know what you're looking for. On pages 11 through 15, it offers student groups, all students, and then subgroups below that. And you'll see appropriately for the CASP that it's marked NT for not tested. And you'll notice the numbers are relatively small, so we're only talking in that instance about Serrano High School students. So those 11th graders that would have been taking the CASP last year. And then you'll see on some subsequent pages, they'll have some local assessment data, and that's all accurate. But then if you go farther through the document, on pages 31 and 32, you'll see a similar table with CASP scores and CASP participation. That's the state test, with all district students, so that we're eligible to take that test. So basically, the students in 3rd through 5th grade, 6th through 8th, and then the 11th graders. And you will see some participation percentages and some score percentages there. And that's basically reflecting students that were absorbed into our district after the CASP testing season. So we did not administer the CASP, but I wanted to make that clear because it could be a little confusing. And you'll see the student groups that are reflecting CASP participation and scores are very, very small groups of students. So those are students that we absorb. So hopefully that adds a little clarity there. And then with that, just before we take any questions that you all might have, I just wanted to once again say the SARC document is a key component in all of our LCAP work. You could say that it lends itself to goal 3, which is parent engagement, parent stakeholder engagement, but also really ties in solidly with goal 4 in our LCAP, which LCAP goal number 4 is Snowline will strive to provide the highest quality staff, student resources, and facilities that promote optimal learning. And you can see all 3 of those components through the school accountability report cards. There's 3 specific actions that tie into that goal: qualified teachers credentialing through a systematic and aligned district process, hire and support qualified and diverse educators who are assigned to appropriate grade level and content area teaching positions. Goal 4.2 or action 4.2, student resources. Ensure that all students have complete and equitable access to resources needed for optimal learning, including standards-aligned curriculum, supplemental materials, technology devices, digital infrastructure, and personnel. And then lastly, we have action 4.3, which are facilities. Optimize learning facilities to be safe, functional, clean, attractive, and welcoming, including all classrooms and common areas. So just wanted to make that correlation between the SARC, which is a very detailed document, and LCAP goal number 4. So with that, President Hernandez, I just leave any facilitation of questions to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that was one of my questions at the few CASP scores that were reported. So thank you for clarifying that. To the board, any questions? My only questions came from the non-traditional, specifically, I think, as I go through them, Chaparral High School and the reported chronic absenteeism rate of almost 80%, 79.5% chronic absenteeism. Is that an accurate representation of last year's numbers?
I'll have to revisit that and get back to you, President Hernandez. We were dealing with some data, incorrect data that was being imported into our system through our vendor DTS, which we hand corrected a lot of it. But I don't want to go on record as saying with certainty that those numbers are correct because they are very high. So let me look into the chronic absenteeism for Chaparral High School and report back to the board informally if I could in my comments at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. It's similar at Eagle Summit with a 60%, and then Snowline Academy with a 21%, which I found odd if it's a virtual online program. Absenteeism, to me, wouldn't have been that high. So I would appreciate NTS information on that.
Absolutely. We'll get back to all of you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, if I can interject real quickly, and Alan, you and I talked about this. There's a different calculation for two of those schools there in particular. So we'll get back to you on that information. But different, when you talk about Snowline Academy, right? That process is one that we'll speak to that will probably explain some of that.
Okay, very good. Well, this is before the board for approval. So unless there's any other questions, would look for a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Thank you, Member Berenger. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Clerk Flores. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with our student board member. Your preferential vote.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Member Bristol.
Aye.
Clerk Flores.
Aye.
Member Kalum.
Aye.
Member Berenger.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. That is approved. And that'll take us to our last item, J2 for adult school course offering. Mr. Miller.
Thank you again. This last item that I bring to you today is a result of our federal progress monitoring process that we're going through this year, and really finding value and finding ways that we can tighten things up and improve in some areas. So this is just actually a retroactive approval request for the Snowline Adult School course catalog offerings, which I provided, which was provided to you in the agenda. Gives a detailed and comprehensive overview of the course offerings that are offered through Snowline Adult School. This will be something that will become part of our practices moving forward, that will get approval each and every year for our course offerings at adult school in the summer leading up to the subsequent school year. So just wanted to give you a little background on why it's a little clunky this year and going retroactive, but this will become part of our normal way of doing business moving forward.
Okay, very good. To the board, any questions? All right, very good. This is before the board for approval. I would accept the motion to approve it. The chair will make the motion to approve the adult school course programming as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much. A roll call vote. Student board member, your preferential.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Member Bristol.
Aye.
Member Kalum.
Aye.
Clerk Flores.
Aye.
Member Berenger.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Thank you very much. That is approved. And that concludes all of our items tonight. That will take us to board member comments. And we'll start with Clerk Kalum, or Member Kalum, my apologies.
This thing here.
Yeah, we got you, sir.
I don't see anything.
We hear you.
Okay. Yeah, it was some great research and very informative research tonight. Appreciate all that attended it. And just thank you.
Thank you very much. Member Bristol.
No comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Clerk Flores.
Yeah, thank you, President Hernandez. First, just those report cards, thanks to the principals and to Mr. Miller's office for all the hard work that went into those. I'm hoping that by next year we'll have a little bit more data to kind of look into and grade, based on kids getting back and doing a little bit more regular testing. So looking forward to that. So thank you to all for their hard work. Thanks to all the staff right now. Again, I know everyone's going extra hard right now, so just want to say thank you for everyone's hard work right now. And especially to Rick Hernandez. I told him before, as he got everything set up for the board members to be remote today, to Nancy and to Robert too, for making sure all this stuff works out. Just really grateful to you guys right now. So that's all I got for tonight.
Thank you very much. Our student board member, Rudy, do you have any comments?
Yes, I have some. I have a
Go ahead.
report from my school, Chaparral. Let's see, I have a note here. We've been organizing some new ideas for the Kindness Week that's coming up. In particular, we've been organizing a community cleanup, which I'm proud to say. We've also organized to have a shared, or to organize a shared, share the kindness, I'm sorry. A share the kindness kind of event. These will be shared around the school and encouraged to share to other students. Of course, that includes to enforce some sanitation requirements. I'm so nervous.
Doing great, sir. Doing great.
Yeah, great job.
We're also having a kindness note pickup box. One will be located in the office, which I also have. They look like this. This one says, "You make the world a better place." And another pickup box will be located in ASP, which will be handwritten notes. And also we have gratitude letters. Students will be encouraged to write gratitude letters to any and all Snowline staff. So I'm really glad you did that. That's it.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Member Berenger.
I just want to express my deepest gratitude to everybody for all of the extra effort. I know that everybody's being pushed to the limit, and it's a difficult time, but I think that we're getting through it and better together. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And as I misplaced some of my comments, I'm just going through some of my notes. I was able to attend a couple of webinars over the last couple of weeks. One was on the finances of the state, put on by San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. Very informative, interesting topics for sure. I unfortunately got pulled away within the last half hour of the presentation due to a work meeting that had come up, but I was still trying to take as much notes as I could. Some of the disturbing items that I wrote down was there's an expected economic downturn coming. They, of course, won't look into their crystal ball to give us any more information about that, but most certainly we'll keep an eye on the world around us and how everything's going to evolve, both with the pandemic and just economics in general. So also attended a webinar on mental health and wellness by a group that I located at AEC this year, Effective School Solutions. put on a 1-hour webinar, and most of it not groundbreaking, but glad to see that there is a lot of work being put into this. And a couple of takeaways that I had from that, and curious if we have a response from our senior cabinet tonight. They spoke of a helpline and the opportunity for students and staff to have access to mental health professionals, essentially at a crisis level, and also just at an intervention and support level, one that would be immediately accessible and one that would be put on locally, even through our own social workers and whatnot. Do we have anything in place like that?
Yeah, President Hernandez, and forgive me on the timeline, but a number of years ago, it was required to put on the backsides of ID cards was an extreme hotline, if you will, for individuals suffering from suicidal ideation. That those contact numbers were required to be put on the backsides of IDs from middle school on up, and so that's been done. But your point's a great one, and I will share with you, without a lot of detail because I don't quite have that, but many of you know Dr. Ron Powell and some just outstanding work he's done for us over the years. He approached myself as well as the superintendents from Apple Valley and Silver Valley, and it's really in line with the work that we're endeavoring to do, but he's got a grant available that's going to really move causes forward relative to mental health, social emotional learning. And so really excited about that. And so your comment about maybe and I need to be very careful here, but I think you'll know when I say lower level needs a hotline, lower level than suicidal ideation, but still
Correct.
Important needs, right? Might be part of that. So look forward to information real soon here on ways that we can continue to move the causes of mental health wellness and overall social emotional learning in the near future. So thanks for sharing what you did. That's exciting news there for sure.
Yeah, it was great. It was really nice to hear that what these folks were suggesting districts do, including surveying their students and staff and trying to find out where they are in this world and what they need. That we've already done a lot of that work, and so proud to know that I came into this informational webinar checking off these boxes that they're saying, try to do this, and we were on top of it. So really proud of all the work that we've done so far. Of course, if we can put more into it, keep going, and provide more to our students and staff, it'd be just that much better.
Yeah, and President Hernandez, you know what I forgot to say, and many thanks to Nancy staff, and it's a great resource, and you know about it, and maybe it was one that you were checking off, and that's Care Solace. Care Solace is a 24/7 service as well that provides for certainly significant needs, but at those lower level needs, it also provides for suicidal ideation. So I appreciate her reminding us of that. And for folks who are wondering about that number, just go right to our website, right? Care Solace, you can search that. Yeah. Another great resource. So thanks for letting me interject that one as well.
I mean, that low level stuff like we're talking about is not that ideation part, but more of that just a significant level anxiety, that stress, that we've had students on remote school, something that was stable their entire academic career was taken away from them, and as our numbers are increasing and these numbers look so huge, and there could be a built of anxiety of what's going to happen next week. Is the rug going to get pulled out from me again? So having that support, that quick contact with somebody to just really allow them to speak and to vent and to feel exactly what's going on, so important. So
yeah, and President Hernandez, one more piece to reinforce your thoughts, and that is what we see in Snowline, right? And through our surveying, right? It's anxiety, trauma, and depression. Those are the three highest responses, right? In Snowline, that's seen up and down the state for students, and even
across the country,
even higher for staff members. So I want to be really clear. We talk about the mental health well-being as well as social emotional learning for our students as well as our staff members. I think that's really important for us to continue to reinforce.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. All right. And that'll take us to administrative comments. And I don't see that we have any of our administrators online. Is that accurate? Yeah, I guess we'll start with Mr. Robert Chacon.
All right, thanks, President Hernandez. Just kind of echoing what's already been said, but just a huge thanks to staff. These last couple of weeks have been really adventurous, I would say, and I just appreciate everyone pitching in, doing what it takes to keep kids in school and keep supporting our kids and supporting one another. I would like to echo what Ryan said. I do think we, knock on wood, I do think we're on the downside of the trend, to be quite honest. Looking at the data over the last, been following it closely over the last 3 weeks, and this week it's looking better, significantly better. So I'm hopeful that, there's light at the end of the tunnel and that, the worst is behind us, and, we're starting to get back to, normal. So I just appreciate everybody, and just stay safe, healthy, and feel free to call us if you need us.
Very, very good. Thank you. And we'll go to Mr. Alan Miller.
All right, thank you, President Hernandez. Just to kind of bring back some of the sentiments shared by Dr. Holman earlier regarding all of the hard work across the district. Teachers specifically covering split classes and doing just a ton of period subbing. It's been a lot of work and really trying on the system for sure. Principals covering classes along with everything else that they're trying to do at their respective school sites. And then just some of our wonderful district certificated folks that do have the certification to go into the classroom. We've had Pam Buchanan over at Vista Verde for a number of days filling in because they were short on the administrative side of the house, helping out in any way she could, whether it was subbing in the classrooms or just helping with some of the day-to-day administrative tasks. Charlotte Eckenroth spent a lot of time subbing for one single teacher over at Pinyon Mesa Middle School, which was very helpful for their system, especially when they were on the high end of open sub positions. Deb Peace, our TOSA teacher on special assignment for technology. She's been doing a lot of period subbing as well. Dave Windward out of our office stepped in. Dr. Holman stepped in himself, and I had the privilege of doing a little subbing myself. So whatever it takes, I know the support that we can offer from a district level for the sub shortages is very limited, but we were doing the best we can just to show you how much we appreciate you and try to help out and pitch in, in any way possible. So thank you for all of your hard work, Snowline.
Oh, thank you very much. Mr. Sean Primo.
Thank you, President Hernandez. I would just piggyback on a lot of the comments made already and then extend it, that thanks to, my best wishes for a healthy recovery. Again, it's important to recognize that these absences do come because people are contracting COVID or are close contacts. We are pleased to know that most of them have been minor symptoms. Again, that we're keeping people on the healthy recovery track. But again, my best wishes to everyone who has experienced this for both, short-term recovery as well as long-term recovery. I'd also like to extend a thank you to our COVID room. If you don't know what this is, these are some ladies who've been recruited to be in contact with our students and families relative to close contact or positive. They are working oftentimes all day long into the evening, and in some cases, as Robert can attest to, over some weekends as well. So, Haley Widgery and I, along with Robert, identified some folks that we felt were, quality people back when we were in a slowdown mode. I would certainly compliment them that they have risen to the occasion, in some cases, even themselves having to deal with protocols. Realistically, contacting is a tough process because of a lot of discussion that needs to occur. They've demonstrated, again, quality responses, although I have to say, unfortunately, sometimes slow responses due to the amount of reports of students from certain schools or classes. But again, we've been receiving positive comments about their ability to get that information back. So I give complements to our COVID room. And again, without getting into too much detail, we are anticipating optimistically that, this will be the last year we need a COVID room to, do this. But we do expect that they're probably going to be working well into the spring, to continue their good work. So I would give them a big shout out. I do appreciate all of their work. And of course, as the HR guy, I would be remiss in not putting a plug in for say yes to Snowline. We do have more positions that are still available. We are now into the recruitment phase of our thinking for next year. We are looking for, we'll be opening up all the positions to build an eligibility pool for people applying to Snowline in hopes then of being able to secure some of the best teachers to then fill our classes for anybody who does, who may be absent, who might be moving. But we will also say that we are experiencing a staffing shortage that's commensurate with certainly a lot of California. Just to let you know, I read something recently, 98% of our small businesses in California are impacted by staffing shortages. And there are approximately 900,000 less workers working this year as a year ago this time. I do see a revival coming. I'll continue my optimism, and I'll continue to make that plug. Say yes to Snowline. And again, thank you to Robert. I think he's showing up on the screen, all the different positions that we do have in Snowline. So thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you very much. Miss Nancy Stapp.
I too would honestly just give a huge thanks to everybody. I wish I could thank each person individually, but the principals, senior cabinet, the site secretaries, all of our teachers, our students, support staff, it's been just such a hard time, and everybody has been willing to just go above and beyond. And for that, I am so grateful. And just would like to share one other thing today that really touched my heart. We have people who have worked many, many, many years in this district. And today, Michelle Nelson also goes by Michelle Martin now. And that's Michelle with one L, because she'll always tell me that. She submitted her letter for retirement, and she had one of the girls in the office take a picture submitting that letter, and it actually became very emotional for her, because she said, it's just a change, and you've come to work for so many years, for so long. She's one of our speech and language pathologists, but I just wanted to mention her specifically and just let her know that it really touched my heart, and that we all wish her all the very best when she retires at the end of the year.
Thank you for that. And finally, but never least, Dr. Ryan Holman.
Thanks, President Hernandez. I'm going to start with words of thanks to Toronto High School ASB Director Coach Scott Cornell. Maybe for the thousands of people who are tuned in here tonight, by the way, they probably saw us looking at a telephone, but he does as well as anyone here in the school district, is connected to kids and connects kids so that their mental health and their social emotional well-being are at the highest of levels. I so admire him. Well, he did give us a picture, showed us the picture of that backside. And so President Hernandez, just to let you know, again, that suicidal ideation, hotline is there, but also another number. He reminded us and me here of another number on there for San Bernardino County Department of Behavioral Health. So there are two numbers on there. So many thanks to, again, Scott Cornell, who just does an outstanding job here in Snowline. Also, speaking of an outstanding job, Rudy, Thank you for your work. I will tell you, Rudy, and please don't sell yourself short. These are the most difficult times that have ever occurred for our student board members, honestly. And so first of all, your presence here is absolutely admired, appreciated, and certainly I hope you understand its value to all of us. And then secondarily, don't ever sell yourself short either with what you're sharing, because that student voice is so critical to our capacity to be able to serve students better. And so again, in the most difficult times, I've never seen student board members have to deal with what you're dealing with. Online, hybrid, in person. I mean, thank you for doing your good work. It very much is meaningful. It's bringing value to our efforts. Okay, Rudy. So thank you for that. I'll also say here, staff. I would just reinforce all the staff. I've already said it once, but Sean, I had on my list too the COVID team. I just have to wonder if they feel like the Postal Service during the holiday seasons. Where it's just at this stage right now, that despite all the outstanding work and truly outstanding work, and I'll be honest, it can be also a thankless position because they're delivering, in effect, negative news. Hi, I'm calling to say that your child is positive, right? I mean, that's hard work, and Sean articulated it very well, but I just want to give a special thanks to them because the spirit of those individuals is reflective of the spirit across our system. And that is the last two groups, again, back to the staff and students. I did have the good fortune and have had the good fortune to be on a few sites of recent times here. And I'll say this, looking at the staff members, they look tired, but they look tired for the best of reasons. And the best of reasons are the students, because I will share with you, being on the site, the students, mind you, that these are challenging times, and class sizes might be larger because of staffing, that learning might not be happening in the ways that it normally does happen, but learning is happening. I think that maybe the greatest compliment I can give to all staff members, and that's all 952 I get to work with here, because they all make that magic occur with the students. And I don't see significant differences like I think people on the outside expect amongst our students. They are benefiting in a multitude of ways. They're benefiting from the in-person learning that's happening during these most difficult of times. And so again, I said it earlier, I'll remind everyone one more time, I don't think I'll ever be more proud of Snowline and the staff members and the students in this learning community than I will be during this pandemic. I want to be through it. It's nice to be proud, but I want to be through this, and we'll get through it soon. But well done by all of them. And so thank you, President Hernandez, for letting me share those thoughts.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. There being no further business come before the board, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
Move approval.
Thank you very much. And a second.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir. We'll do a roll call vote, starting with our student board member, your preferential.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. Member Bristol.
Aye.
Member Kaloum.
Aye.
Clerk Flores.
Aye.
Member Behringer.
Aye.
I vote aye as well. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everybody.